Hello and welcome to day 99 of our Chronological Bible in a Year reading. Today we have 1 Samuel 4 through 8. So, 1 Samuel chapter 4. Thus the word of Shemuel was to all Yisrael, and Yisrael went out to battle against the Pelethites and encamped beside Eben-Haezer, while the Pelethites encamped in Aphek. And the Pelethites put themselves in battle array against Yisrael, and when the battle spread, Yisrael was smitten by the Pelethites, who killed about 4,000 men of the army in the field. And when the people came into the camp, the elders of Yisrael said, "Why has Yahuwah smitten us today before the Pelethites? Let us bring the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah from Shiloh to us, so that he comes into our midst and saves us from the hand of our enemies." And the people sent to Shiloh, and they brought from there the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah of hosts, dwelling between the cherubim, which is the cherubim. And the two sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were there with the ark of the covenant of Elohim. And when the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah came into the camp, all Yisrael shouted so loudly that the earth shook. And when the Pelethites heard the noise of the shout, they said, "What is the noise of this great shout of the camp of the Ebrim?" which is the Hebrews. And when they knew that the ark of Yahuwah had come into the camp, the Pelethites were afraid, for they said, "Elohim has come into the camp." And they said, "Woe to us, for it has never been like this before. Woe to us, who shall deliver us from the hand of these mighty Elohim? These are the Elohim who smote the Mitzrites with all the plagues in the wilderness." And the Mitzrites are the Egyptians. "Be strong and be men, you Pelethites, that you do not become servants of the Ebrim, as they have been to you. Be men and fight." And the Pelethites fought, and Yisrael was smitten, and every man fled to his tent. And the slaughter was very great, and there fell of Yisrael 30,000 foot soldiers. And the ark of Elohim was captured, and the two sons of Eli died, Hophni and Phinehas. And a man of Benjamin ran from the battle line the same day, and came to Shiloh with his garments torn and dirt on his head. And he came in and saw Eli sitting on a seat by the wayside watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of Elohim. And the man came into the city and reported it, and all the city cried out. And Eli heard the noise of the outcry and said, "What is the noise of this uproar?" And the man came hastily and informed Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were so dim that he was unable to see. And the man said to Eli, "I am he who came from the battle, and I fled today from the battle line." And he said, "What was the matter, my son?" And the messenger answered and said, "Yisrael has fled before the Pelethites, and there has been a great slaughter among the people, and your two sons have died, Hophni and Phinehas, and the ark of Elohim has been captured." And it came to be when he made mention of the ark of Elohim that Eli fell off the seat backward by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died, for the man was old and heavy. And he ruled Israel 40 years. And his daughter-in-law, Phinehas' wife, was pregnant, about to bear. And when she heard the news that the ark of Elohim was captured, and that her father-in-law and her husband were dead, she bowed herself and gave birth, because her pains came upon her. And about the time of her death, the women who stood by her said to her, "Do not fear, for you have borne a son." But she did not answer, nor did she put her heart to it. And she called the child Ichabod, saying, The esteem has departed from Yisrael, because the ark of Elohim was taken, and because of her father-in-law and her husband. And she said, "The esteem has departed from Yisrael, for the ark of Elohim was taken." Chapter 5. And the Pelethites took the ark of Elohim, and brought it from Eben-Haezer to Ashdod. And the Pelethites took the ark of Elohim, and brought it into the house of Dagon, and put it by Dagon. And the Ashdodites rose early in the morning, and saw Dagon fallen on its face to the ground before the ark of Yahuwah. So they took Dagon and put it in its place again. And they arose early the next morning, and saw Dagon fallen on its face to the ground before the ark of Yahuwah, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of its hands cut off. On the threshold only Dagon itself was left of it. That is why, to this day, the priests of Dagon and all who come into Dagon's house do not tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod. But the hand of Yahuwah was heavy on the Ashdodites, and he wasted them and smote them with tumors, Ashdod and its borders. And when the men of Ashdod saw this, they said, "Let not the ark of the Elohim of Yisrael remain with us, for his hand has been hard on us and on Dagon, our mighty one." Then they sent and gathered to them all the princes of the Pelethites, and said, "What do we do with the ark of the Elohim of Yisrael?" And they answered, "Let the ark of the Elohim of Yisrael be removed to Gath." And they removed the ark of the Elohim of Yisrael. And it came to be, after they removed it, that the hand of Yahuwah was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city from the least to the greatest, and tumors broke out on them. And they sent the ark of Elohim to Ekron, and it came to be, as the ark of Elohim came to Ekron, that the Ekronites cried out, saying, They have removed the ark of the Elohim of Yisrael to us, to kill us and our people. And they sent and gathered together all the princes of the Pelishtites, and said, Send away the ark of the Elohim of Israel, and let it return to its own place, so that it does not kill us and our people. For there had come a deadly destruction throughout all the city. The hand of Elohim was very heavy there. And the men who did not die were smitten with tumors, and the cry of the city went up to the Shamayim, which is up to the heavens. And chapter 6. And the ark of Yahuwah was in the field of the Pelishtites for 7 months. And the Pelishtites called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What do we do with the ark of Yahuwah? Let us know with what we should send it to its place. And they said, If you send away the ark of the Elohim of Israel, do not send it empty, but you shall certainly return it to him with a guilt offering. Then you are going to be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand does not turn aside from you. And they said, What is the guilt offering which we return to him? And they answered, The number of the princes of the Pelishtites, 5 golden tumors and 5 golden rats. For the same plague was on all of you and on your princes. And you shall make images of your tumors and images of your rats that ruin the land, and you shall give esteem to the Elohim of Yisrael. It could be that he lifts his hand from you, from your mighty ones, and from your land. And why do you harden your hearts as the Mitzrites and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? When he had severely dealt with them, did they not send them away, and they went? And now take and make a new wagon and 2 milk cows which have never been yoked, and hitch the cows to the wagon, and take their calves home away from them. And take the ark of Yahuwah and put it on the wagon, and put the objects of gold which you are returning to him as a guilt offering in a chest by its side, and send it away, and it shall go. And you shall see if it goes up the way to its own border, to Beth Shemesh, then he has done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that his hand has not come against us, an accident it was to us. And the men did so, and took 2 milk cows, and hitched them to the wagon, and shut up their calves at home. And they put the ark of Yahuwah on the wagon, and the chest with the gold rats, and the images of their tumors. And the cows went straight for the way to Beth Shemesh, and went along the highway, bellowing as they went, and did not turn aside right or left. And the princes of the Pelishtites went after them to the border of Beth Shemesh. And Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted their eyes and saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the wagon came into the field of Yehoshua of Beth Shemesh, and stood there, and there was a great stone. So they split the wood of the wagon, and offered the cows as a burnt offering to Yahuwah. And the Levites took down the ark of Yahuwah, and the chest that was in it, in which were the objects of gold, and put them on the great stone. And the men of Beth Shemesh slaughtered burnt offerings, and made offerings the same day to Yahuwah. And when the 5 princes of the Pelishtites saw it, they returned to Ekron the same day. And these are the gold tumors which the Pelishtites returned as a guilt offering to Yahuwah. 1 for Ashdod, 1 for Azzah, 1 for Ashkelon, 1 for Gath, 1 for Ekron, and the gold rats by the number of all the cities of the Pelishtites belonging to the 5 princes, both walled cities and country villages, even as far as the great meadow on which they placed the ark of Yahuwah, are to this day in the field of Yehoshua of Beth Shemesh. And he smote among the men of Beth Shemesh, for they had looked into the ark of Yahuwah. He smote among the people 70 men, and the people mourned, because Yahuwah smote among the people a great smiting. And the men of Beth Shemesh said, Who is able to stand before this Kadesh Yahuwah Elohim? Which again, Kadesh means holy. And to whom shall he go from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath Yarim, saying, The Pelishtites have brought back the ark of Yahuwah. Come down, take it up to you. Chapter 7. And the men of Kiriath Yarim came and took the ark of Yahuwah, and brought it into the house of Abinadab on the hill, and Kadosh Eleazar his son to guard the ark of Yahuwah. And Kadosh means sanctify or set apart. It came to be from the day that the ark remained in Kiriath Yarim that the time increased. It came to be 20 years. And all the house of Israel lamented after Yahuwah. And Shemuel spoke to all the house of Israel, saying, If you return to Yahuwah with all your hearts, then put away the foreign mighty ones and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts for Yahuwah, and serve him only, so that he delivers you from the hand of the Pelishtites. And the children of Israel put away the Baals and Ashtaroth, and served Yahuwah only. And Shemuel said, Gather all Israel to Mizpah, and let me pray to Yahuwah for you. And they gathered to Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it out before Yahuwah. And they fasted that day, and said there, We have sinned against Yahuwah. And Shemuel rightly ruled the children of Israel at Mizpah. And when the Pelishtites heard that the children of Israel had gathered together at Mizpah, the princes of the Pelishtites went up against Israel. And the children of Israel heard of it, and were afraid of the Pelishtites. And the children of Israel said to Shemuel, Do not cease to cry out to Yahuwah our Elohim for us, that he would save us from the hand of the Pelishtites. And Shemuel took a suckling lamb, and offered it as a burnt offering completely to Yahuwah. And Shemuel cried out to Yahuwah for Israel, and Yahuwah answered him. And it came to be, as Shemuel offered up the burnt offering, the Pelishtites drew near to battle against Israel. But Yahuwah thundered with a great noise on that day on the Pelishtites, and troubled them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out from Mizpah, and pursued the Pelishtites, and smote them as below Beth-kar. And Shemuel took a stone, and put it up between Mizpah and Shin, and called its name Eben-Hazer, saying, Thus far Yahuwah has helped us. Thus the Pelishtites were humbled, and no longer came into the border of Israel. And the hand of Yahuwah was against the Pelishtites all the days of Shemuel. And the cities which the Pelishtites had taken from Israel were returned to Israel from Ekron to Gath. And Israel recovered its border from the hands of the Pelishtites. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Shemuel rightly ruled Israel all the days of his life. And each year he made the rounds of Beth-el and Gilgal and Mizpah, and rightly ruled Israel in all those places. Then he returned to Ramah, for his home was there. And there he rightly ruled Israel, and there he built an altar to Yahuwah. And last chapter today, chapter 8. It came to be, when Shemuel was old, that he made his sons rulers over Israel. And the name of his firstborn was Yoel, and the name of his second, Abiah, rulers in Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways, and turned aside after their own gain, and took bribes, and twisted right ruling. And all the elders of Israel gathered together, and came to Shemuel at Ramah, and said to him, Look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now appoint for us a sovereign to rule us like all the nations. But the word was evil in the eyes of Shemuel, when they said, Give us a sovereign to rule us. So Shemuel prayed to Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, Listen to the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me from reigning over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Mitzrayim, even to this day, forsaking me and serving other mighty ones, so they are doing to you too. And now listen to their voice, but you shall certainly warn them, and shall make known to them the ruling of the sovereign who reigns over them. And Shemuel spoke all the words of Yahuwah to the people who asked him for a sovereign, and said, This is the ruling of the sovereign who reigns over you. He shall take your sons, and appoint them for his own chariots to be his horsemen, and they shall run before his chariots, and appoint commanders over his thousands, and commanders over his 50s, or to plow his ground and reap his harvest, or to make his weapons and equipment for his chariots. And your daughters he is going to take to be perfumers, and cooks, and bakers. And the best of your fields, and your vineyards, and your olive trees he is going to take and give them to his servants. And 1/10 of your grain and your vintage he is going to take and give it to his officers and servants. And your male servants and female servants, and your best young men and donkeys he is going to take and use for his own work. 1/10 of your sheep he is going to take, and you are to be his servants. And you shall cry out in that day because of your sovereign, whom you have chosen for yourselves. But Yahuwah is not going to answer you in that day. However, the people refused to listen to the voice of Shemuel, and said, No, but let a sovereign be over us. Then we shall be, we also, like all the nations, and our sovereign shall rule us, and go out before us, and fight our battles. And Shemuel heard all the words of the people, and he repeated them in the hearing of Yahuwah. And Yahuwah said to Shemuel, Listen to their voice, and make them a sovereign. And Shemuel said to the men of Israel, Each of you go to his city. And that concludes our reading for today. Thanks for joining. Hope you're reading along. And peace and blessings and love to you. See you in the next one.